Welcome to another episode of Ask Dubey, brought to you by Bet365. Want to get in on the action for the Stanley Cup playoffs? At Bet365, they got you. From game props, player props, totals in the money line, you can even bet on futures like series winners, conference champions, the Stanley Cup champions, and much, much more. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. An official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Must be 19 or older. All right, guys, as you can see, lighting's a little different time of day. We had to re-record. Unfortunately, we recorded yesterday before the game, hoping that we were going to be getting a Game 7 and moving on. And unfortunately, we all know by now that's not the case. And this special run by the Edmonton Oilers is over now. Like I'm sure all of you are, myself, saddened by the outcome. It was a ton of fun. This playoffs was amazing to get to be a part of it. It felt like a really special group, the way they were playing together, and it was a pleasure to be able to cover it. So disappointing finish. I think games 5 and 6, obviously, we saw how good the Florida Panthers were, and as frustrating as it is for fans to watch, and I think, to take away from the negative a little bit, it's important to look at this is a great Florida Panthers team, and they played great. They were the best version of themselves, and the Oilers were not. And that's just the way it was in the Stanley Cup Final. There were some incredible moments, especially in the first 4 games, some just incredible hockey. And unfortunately for the Oilers, the Florida Panthers were a really, really good hockey team who played really, really well in games 5 and 6. And it really came down to critical mistakes for the Oilers. Game 6 was very similar to game 5. The Oilers didn't play poorly, but it was sloppy mistakes, critical mistakes that cost them, and it cost them to get down. And all throughout the playoffs, they've been so good at coming back and crawling back from deficits. I mean, a crazy amount of times of multi-goal deficits that they've come back from. And that's a very, very impressive thing. Unfortunately, it's playing with fire with the Florida Panthers, and we saw that. They continue to do it, and in Game 5, 2 critical mistakes by Matthias Ekholm, it's 2-0, and not very very uncharacteristic mistakes from Ekholm as well. This is a guy who's an incredible defenseman and a very good player for the Oilers usually, and unfortunately, games 5 and 6 there were some pretty significant errors, and unfortunately, you get down against a team like that, and they're just very good defensively. They're very aggressive, and they shut it down. And it certainly wasn't for lack of effort from the Oilers. I like the effort. That's one thing I absolutely love about the Oilers superstars. From Connor McDavid and Leon, obviously, you go down the list. Zach Hyman, you don't even think about how many goals the guy scores because of the effort and the grit that he brings, and Nugent, all the way through the group. One thing you never question with this team is the effort and the commitment and the care, and that was evident all the way through. Unfortunately, Florida just locked down, and they did not give up the middle of the ice. And as much as the Oilers tried, it just wasn't available. And then when you're down in a game and you're forcing it, those critical errors end up in the back of your net, and it's just too big of a hill to climb against a really, really good hockey team, and against arguably the best goalie on the planet at this time of the year in Sergei Bobrovsky. So unfortunately, it didn't finish the way we wanted. I absolutely love this playoff run. I'm sad because I don't get to do the pre and post anymore, and I know that Ask Dubey will be wrapping up. I don't know how many episodes we'll have left for this season, but the plan is to continue it on to next year. So for now, keep the questions coming, and I'll answer as much as I can. And anything we don't get to this year, plan on answering it next year, and we'll have a show for the entire season. So we'll get to the questions now, and it's been a fun run. And here's the questions with a little different lighting, and we'll talk to you guys soon. All right, well, let's get into the questions. First question is from Josh Fensky, and he asks, what is my favorite save as an Oiler? That's a good question. I'm going to go with 2 different saves. One was against the Calgary Flames at home in Edmonton on Ole Jokinen. It was in the first period. I bit hard early on a shot. It was down close to the front of the net, and I dropped to my knees, and they zipped the pass back to Jokinen, and he grabbed it, and I was able to recover and just get a foot down, and I dove head first across the net, and I snagged it with my glove. right out of the middle of the net, midair, almost across the goal line with the netting of my glove. And that was just a special one, being against the Flames. I grew up in Calgary, obviously. I think that was my first year. It might have been my second season. But it was it's still fresh, still kind of felt like a rookie. I think it was technically my rookie season. And it was kind of the first like crazy save that I'd made in the NHL like that. And it was against Calgary and Edmonton. I had buddies and family there as well. So I was pretty excited, and that was early in the game. So it was 0-0 still, but fortunately I didn't play that well for the rest of the game. I didn't let it juice me up that much. I think we lost 4-3. Gosh, it's the curse of a goalie. I can probably run you through every goal that I let in that game, but I don't want to bore you guys. And my next favorite save, this one I remember, I believe it was against, is it Chris Higgins in Vancouver? I think that was his first name, Chris. So this was the last game of the year. Gosh, it must have been the 2011-12 season. And we were obviously out of the playoffs. We were playing in Vancouver, and before the game, Vancouver was competing for the President's Trophy, best team in the league. And there's a nice little bonus that comes along with that, nice little paycheck. So teams want to win it. I know there's a President's Cup, President's Trophy curse, but it's a nice little bonus when you get it. So we were watching, and if the Rangers won earlier in the day, then Vancouver had to win in order to get the President's Trophy. And if the Rangers lost, then Vancouver secured the President's Trophy. So I was hoping I had to play this game. Obviously, we were out of the playoffs for a long time, so guys are just wanting to get this game over and get going into summer. And we knew that they were going to obviously dress a much different lineup. Depending on if they were trying to win the game, they were going to dress their full lineup. And Vancouver was very, very good at this time. This would have been possibly their finals year. But they dressed not as good of a lineup, and we have an easier game. Well, unfortunately, the Rangers won. We dressed the lineup. They were out shooting us 17-3 by like the 5-minute mark of the first period. And I remember going to the bench and Habby Boulin looking at me and saying, "Are you okay?" And he told me after the game it was the first time he'd ever thought that he might have to play in the game, just strictly due to shot volume, in the waves that they were coming. So. It was a good game for me. I was playing really well, but in the first period at one point, similar type situation as the other one, me biting early on a play, on a shot fake, and then it gets passed across. This time it was on the other side, so I was on my glove side, and I went down on the initial play, and he passed it across kind of to the slot, and I dove across the other way with the paddle of my stick. And I actually stopped it out of the air, out of the middle of my net. He had it right between the hash marks and ripped it mid-net, and I got it right in the middle of the paddle. And that was the first time in the NHL I'd made a save like that, and they did a score on it. So that was pretty exciting for me. There's actually a really cool poster that they made, team posters the next year that season ticket holders got. And I don't know if it was on purpose, but it was actually on the poster had that save, and you don't really notice at first, but when you zoom in, the puck is actually hitting my paddle at the time, and the whole paddle of my stick is like curved. That's how hard he shot it. It actually bent the paddle of my stick when I hit it. So that's a cool little reminder every time I see that poster. I think I still have one in storage somewhere, but that was a good game. We ended up losing 3-0. But I think I finished with 40-some, high 40s in the save department, and that was a contract year for me as well. So it was a good positive, even though it was a 3-0 loss, we were never really competitive in the game. So it was a positive finish going into contract negotiations after that one. So those were a couple of my favorite saves as an Oiler. All right, next question from Notorious PKs. Dubey, who is your favorite NFL team and why? Getting away from hockey a little bit. I love it. I'm a huge NFL fan. I love fantasy football. It's gotten me into it. My favorite, I've got a couple, I don't have a couple favorite teams. I have a couple teams that I cheer for. When I first got into the NFL, my brother is a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and so I kind of cheered for the Dallas Cowboys. I still cheer for them a little bit because he's still a fan, but they're kind of hard to cheer for right now. But I still like the Cowboys. being in Minnesota, I always cheer for the Vikings. They're a hometown team. They're always competitive, and they're a fun team to cheer for. Obviously with JJ here and the different storylines. But my true favorite team is the Buffalo Bills, and there's no real reason or connection other than I started watching when Josh Allen came around. I didn't start watching football. I started watching the Bills when Josh Allen came around, and really what's not to like? Watching the Buffalo Bills, they're so exciting. I love the way they play. I love the heart that Josh Allen plays with. He's big, he's strong, he runs the ball. Everything he does, every single game they play in is just exciting to watch. And when I started just kind of tuning in and watching them, and maybe it was because that year I had a couple guys on my fantasy team, so I was tuned into them a little bit more. But once I started watching their games more intently and seeing how exciting of a product they were. And again, Josh Allen is just crazy to watch every game. It was just so entertaining. It was hard not to fall in love with them, and I've been a big fan since. So probably the last 3 or 4 years I've been rooting the Bills on. Obviously, it's been heartbreaking. The Chiefs just killed us in the playoffs, so that's been disappointing. I thought this year was going to be it, like everybody says, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for next year, and hopefully they can continue having some success and get into the playoffs, because they're just such a fun team to watch. Okay, next question, another non-hockey question, which is always fun to answer, from C. Peskusky. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. Who is the best poker player in your family? It's a great question. It's an easy one. I could try to give him a hard time, but my brother, hands down, is the best poker player in our family. He's a very, very good poker player, always has been. He introduced me to poker. We kind of fell in love with it together, and we played so much poker together when we were younger. He's a super, super intelligent math mind. He can do all the odds and all that stuff just right on the spot. And I was a really good player as well, but we were completely different players. I was more chaotic, more just kind of feel of the game, feel of the table, a lot more reckless with my game. And we both were good players. We had lots of tournaments at our house, and memories growing up of our birthday parties. We would invite everybody we knew, plus tell them to invite their friends, and we would have 40 or 50 people at the house and have this giant poker tournament with parents involved. And memories in junior on the bus. We used to play at the front of the bus with the coach and the GM. We'd have a $20 buy-in poker tournament, which I'm going to go ahead and guess that's not allowed anymore. Hopefully I don't get anybody in trouble with this. But nothing was wrong with it. Everyone throws in $20, and hey, listen, when you're on hours and hours of bus rides, that $20 buy-in tournament would last us for half of the trip, and it was great bonding. Same thing going into not as much in the American League because the bus rides are shorter and didn't really have time for it. But poker on the plane in the NHL was like one of my favorite things ever. I used to look forward to longer plane rides because it meant more poker time with the guys, and we had a great group of guys. Actually, in Edmonton, I remember when I first got called up in my first year, I saw this poker game going on, and I just wanted to be a part of it so bad. But obviously, being a rookie, there were no seats available, and I wasn't going to speak up or anything. I watched on the plane, just itching to play so bad. And then finally, toward the end of that year, somebody was hurt or not on the trip, and I got a tap on the shoulder and got asked if I wanted to join the poker game. And it was like I'd finally made it. Forget about all the hockey. I finally made it to the poker table on the plane for the Oilers, and I jumped in the game, and obviously wanted to take it easy at first. You don't want to jump in there and win everybody's money. Not saying I could have gone in there and won everybody's money, but I was a lot more conservative with the way I was playing. I didn't want to jump in there and be an idiot and be betting all this money, nor did I have the money anyway. The stakes were a little higher than what I was comfortable with. But I just remember that it was a feeling like I'd been accepted, like I'd been added to the group, and it was pretty fun. And from then on, it was years and years and years of poker on the plane. And I don't play it much anymore. I don't have time really, but really enjoy a good poker game. It was a big part of my growing up. And unfortunately, I'm never going to be able to say that I'm a better poker player than my brother, because I'm not. And my parents are actually really good poker players as well. They play a lot more than I do now. They go to tournaments and stuff and play together, which is great for them. So they could be better than me now too. I don't know. I'd have to play against them to find out. My dad's a lot more conservative. I think me and my mom might share some similarities in our play, and I think my dad and my brother are a little more similar. So maybe we'll have a family poker tournament one of these days and settle it once and for all. Today's episode was brought to you by our friends at Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products are in the Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, Wilhauk Beef Jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. You can find their beef jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc location, or you can order online. Get your jerky on at wilhaukbeefjerky.com.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.